Hello, everybody. How are we all doing? It is the Fred is 93,
And Gwen here as well.
and welcome to Rumble and Ramble. This is the first edition of the WWE themed podcast, where myself and Gwen here, of course, will be discussing most matters of certainly all matters WWE. It could be ranging from the events of the previous weeks, or the previous nights, like Raw or SmackDown or NXT, whichever it is, or it could be for upcoming PLEs like we have got this Saturday with the Elimination Chamber. So we will be largely focusing on the discussions about the Elimination Chamber. We will be looking at the match card for it and also giving our thoughts. So where should we start? Should we start with either of the Elimination Chambers or either one of the other matches on the card?
I mean, we could go and leave the chambers to last to make it more interesting and just go from...
Shall we go in the order that I sent it?
Yeah, you know what, why not? Let's go with that. So, the first one was the Unchampionship match between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, which will be an interesting one.
Yes.
With their feuds, especially in NXT. It seems like they're revitalizing those on the main roster, which should be very interesting.
Gwen's insights here is going to be a beautiful thing in this podcast, I think, because Gwen's got the more extensive knowledge, whereas my WWE knowledge is predominantly stemming from what I've observed from getting into WWE in the last couple of years. So yeah. I will have sort of like more of like a general like insight a bit on it, whereas Gwen has more of an experience with the with like some of the storylines in it as well, like going further back than say 2002, 2003, 2022, 2023 is what I meant. And we're keeping that in. We're keeping that in because that's going to be good gold.
I think you got confused there with how long I've been watching it, because it was around 2003 when I started watching it, to be fair.
That could be it. That could be it. So the main thing where this is stemming from this time around, it's largely to do with Sammy's involvement with like Roman Reigns, the OG bloodline, if you will, that sort of thing. It's already sort of like stemming from that, as well as Kevin Owens, although just being on this rampage of anybody that's siding with Roman Reigns. Particularly, we've seen him been dealing with Cody Rhodes, particularly recently, particularly with the ladder match that they had for the Undisputed Championships at the Royal Rumble. We've seen how he's been sort of like been button heads with Randy Orton, certainly, although I can't recall Randy Orton partnering with Roman Reigns, or is it because of more Randy was siding with Cody at one point after Cody had just sided with Roman Reigns?
I think it was more to do with Cody, because if we remember correctly, Randy made his return. Oh no, hang on a minute, he did make his return, didn't he? At the War Games.
Randy made his return. Randy made his return in 2023 War Games, which was largely overshadowed by CM Punk's.
It was, wasn't it? But I'm pretty sure that was that against the Bloodline?
No, it was against the Judgment Day and Drew McIntyre.
Oh yeah, that was it, wasn't it? I'm trying to think what this is going back about a year or so now. I know it was, like you said. No, my mind's gone blank now on what the opponents were, because all I'm thinking is Randy Orton's return and then Punk's return and then Seth flipping out.
So it was last year in 2024 we had the OG Bloodline and CM Punk versus New Bloodline, or as lots of us like to call it, Bloodline from Timu and Bronson Reed.
Oh, yeah.
Previous year, it was Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns. No, it wasn't. Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton versus Judgment Day and Drew McIntyre.
Oh, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, so Roman had nothing to do with that.
No, he didn't, did he? He actually had nothing to do with that, because didn't he... You know what, let's not ramble on about that.
Well, why not? Well, why not? This is Rumble and Ramble. Go right ahead.
I've actually lost my train of thought. Perfect. See, this is where the podcast becomes interesting, because we are doing it in one take rather than... Or trying to do it in one take, so anything that we might think of might completely slip our brains during the podcast.
But if we need to send back to it, then we need to send back to it. But although I think the issue between Sami and Kevin this time is the fact that Sami did nothing to assist Kevin Owens. I think this is more now going to the Rumble.
It is.
So we need to go back
like
to the Royal Rumble because Sami apparently stood by and did nothing for Kevin Owens while he was down in that ladder match with Cody Rhodes, but then apparently was helping Roman Reigns in the Rumble match.
Yeah,
that's where it's all stemmed from the recent promos anyhow. And then there was that package pile driver he delivered to Sami Zayn after his Elimination Chamber qualifier defeat to CM Punk.
Yeah, that is true, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be interesting though, because I feel like we haven't seen Kevin versus Sami on the main roster. We have in NXT for the title, but this is going quite a while back now.
Yeah.
Can't remember the exact date of the feud, but it was definitely a good one over the NXT title when we had the old classic large gold NXT belt.
I want to say, from reading up on it, I want to say it's like 2017, 2018. Don't quote me on that though, because it might be either sooner or later than that.
Yeah, it's around that era, and it was heel Kevin for that one. He turned on Sami once he first won the title with the famous pop-up powerbomb on the apron to start the feud. Because he came out originally, Kevin, to celebrate with Sami for winning the NXT title. There's like, what kind of ramp, and he's just completely and utterly walloped him one.
Oh yeah, NXT Evolution, I think it was.
Yeah, but also, I've realised this also extends to Ring of Honor. Before Sami Zayn signed with NXT, they had a couple of matches when Sami was El Generico, I believe his name was, in Ring of Honor. When it was, can't remember which name Kevin Owens went through by then. I think it might have been Kevin Steens or something to do with Steens. That's all I can remember.
Oh, so it's also, so this really does go like a little bit back in some form of storytelling.
It does, which is going to be interesting. I said, because we've seen it in Ring of Honor a little bit. We've seen it in NXT, but we've not seen it at this kind of high level, I guess you could say, in wrestling.
Yeah.
Being on one of the biggest, companies in wrestling at the moment.
Yep. Well, how would you like to try and call this one?
It is going to be interesting because the history that they've had, obviously they're good friends behind the scene, as we all know.
Yeah.
I really don't know what's going to go here because they seem to be back and forth. I can't remember who won their Ring of Honor feuds, but I know Kevin Owens was the main one in their NXTs because he lost title, didn't he, to Sami Zayn lost title Kevin Owens in NXT a couple of times. It's definitely, I can see it being a brutal match, not as brutal, of course, as the other match between Owens and Cody, but I can definitely see it being on that kind of level.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see if Sami does pull through here with the win, because Kevin Owens did do really well in his feud in NXT, and he was more of the he did come up on top more, if that makes sense, in his XT
Yeah.
feud. So it'd be interesting to see if they do a Rumble versus and have Sammy here win it.
I mean, it's.
That's what.
Oh, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think they might let Sammy go over here. But
Yeah, I think it's largely going to depend on how Sami Zayn's body sort of like treats him, as sort of how he's going to feel sort of like, as this goes on, because as an unsanctioned fight, it's anything goes. There's no DQs or anything like that in there, so literally anything's going to go. Could Kevin Owens just do anything to sort of like make things worse for Sami Zayn? I can see that happening, and so I'm going to go for a Kevin Owens win.
okay, I love how we have got different opinions here. I love that. It makes it very interesting to see what happens.
Exactly. And we can always use these to as like a recap for on like the next edition. Okay,
That's
so
very true.
what I'm going to go for next is the tag match we've got going on as well. Trish Stratus versus Tiffany Stratton. No, Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton versus Candice LeRae and Nia Jax.
That was a bit of a tongue twister for you there, wasn't it?
Wasn't it? But yeah.
So yeah, it is going to be interesting. It's going to be Trishy Tiffy time. I don't know what the hell you would call that team. Bit of a mix of generations there, definitely.
Yeah.
Obviously, Trish being more dominant in the like 2000 eras, sort of like in the ruthless aggression kind of like era, and you've got Tiffany Stratton, which is more recent with the women's title. Is it the? It's the WWE title, isn't it? Not the world title.
Yeah.
So it'll definitely be interesting to see those kind of switch of eras teaming up together in that match. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. It's great to have like a Hall of Famer sort of like involved in this match, where you got Trish Stratus on one side alongside Tiffany Stratton, who, let's not forget, 12 months ago, or like just a little more than 12 months ago, was making a main roster debut, was at Elimination Chamber. Had sort of like recently got onto SmackDown, or was just about to sign for SmackDown when she first appeared at the Royal Rumble, like last year. To then sort of like go through this bit in the women's division, so like forming an alliance with Tiffany Stratton, not Tiffany Stratton, she is Tiffany Stratton, forming an alliance with Nia Jax, and like going through that bit, and then obviously Candice LeRae comes in a bit with Nia. There's a little bit of jealousy there with that. For me personally, they teased the whole, will she cash in on Nia, will she not cash in on Nia, bit for just that little bit too long, I think. But then I think also it was a great thing for her to done the cash in on SmackDown's Netflix debut.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a wise move there. You know, start of a new era, new platform, start of a new champion, a new feud. You know.
And obviously, Charlotte winning the Royal Rumble has made Tiffy her chosen opponent for WrestleMania, which I think a lot of us probably would have seen when Charlotte was declared winner, because that's a match that a lot of fans would have wanted.
Yeah, definitely, I reckon. Should be interesting. So this other tag team they're going up against, it's
Candice LeRae
Candice LeRae and Nia Jax.
Yep.
Which, to me, it feels like a bit of a mixed match tag team. Unless...
Do you think so?
I mean, am I missing something here, or has Candice actually formed an alliance with Nia? I think I've missed something here.
I think you possibly might have done as well. So I'll quickly refresh sort of like your mind on that. No, whilst Tiffany and Nia were like still like the best of buddies and everything like that, Candice LeRae then pops up into the scene around SmackDown. So like, gets involved with those two as well. Gets closer with Nia as well. Was teaming up more with Nia than Tiffy was teaming up with Nia. So that's, I think, was then the tipping point for Tiffany Stratton cashing in the Money Bank contract on Nia.
Yeah, I see now.
So that's where it's all stemming from.
And obviously now Candice has now sided with Nia on this, because obviously if there were about to be like a 3-person team, obviously with Tiffany and then cashing in, it sort of turned her back on them two.
Or probably going sort of like down like the whole Pure Fusion Collective kind of like little get together, I think.
Yeah. It would be great to see, definitely have Trish and Tiffy win the match, considering it's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But they could easily put the heels ahead here and have Trish maybe take the pinfall to make it look like Tiffy's stronger, if that makes sense. Because either way they do it, surely they wouldn't have the champion pinned here to make the champion look strong.
Yeah.
But then that's my thought on it.
Yeah. Did you want a bit more of a storyline background for this? Also, like certainly the most recent bit with this. So Trish ended the Hall of Fame, ended the Royal Rumble, eliminated Candice LeRae, but was then eliminated by Nia Jax.
That's it.
On the
now this all makes a bit more sense.
Then on the February 14th SmackDown, Jax and Stratton's championship match ended in a DQ because Candice attacked Tiffany in the match.
Yeah.
Who then continued their beatdown afterwards, which was when Trish proposed to join forces with Tiffany. So that's where the tag team and that match has come from.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting match. They can go either way here, I think, with the winner. Will they have the Hall of Famer sort of like lose though? I'm not sure. To make the others look stronger, but then it might make the Hall of Famer here, Trish Stratus, look not like a Hall of Famer. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those iffy ones. It can go either way.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to see Tiffy and Trish win, though. It'd definitely be nice to have a Hall of Famer winning a PLE.
Yeah. I think I might agree with you on this one, and side as like just think of a Trish and Tiffany win for this one. I'm assuming that was your thought process.
Yeah, that was my thought process, because they could have Tiffany get the pinfall on Nia to show that she can beat Nia before they have a championship match.
Yeah.
But it could go the other way around. They might end up getting squashed. For all we know, WWE is very unpredictable. So,
yeah.
I doubt there would be any form of interruption or return from anyone, because there's no one really outside the feud that I feel like will get involved.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, shall we move on to the?
Okay.
Is it the men's?
I say, shall we do men's next, or leave the men's for last?
let's leave the men's last, because I feel like some of the feuds and things that could be kicked off from there could be a good
Yeah,
discussion to talk
yeah.
about with who's involved.
Okay, in which
Um,
case, let's go with the women's Elimination Chamber match, which consists of Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, the women's tag team champions Bianca Belair, Naomi, Bailey, and I was happy to see this, but the surprise winner of the last of the qualifiers, Roxanne Perez, or if you just so happen to be Lillian Garcia. Am I thinking of the ring announcer?
yeah, Lillian
Roseanne.
Garcia now.
Roseanne Perez.
Oh yeah, that was a
Yeah.
slight botch there, but she's only just getting back into it though, isn't she?
Yeah.
Lillian, even though she was doing it years before then, I don't know if you remember, she used to occasionally do a exit or botch here and there.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's probably the first time that she's announced her name as well. Wrestler as well. So whether it's so I don't think it's calling for everything that's being said like negatively online about it, because it is just a simple slip up. Particularly if
it
it's
is.
your first time covering or announcing this wrestler as well. Like you've seen or you've heard with me in the Madhouse, I've had a week where there's been at least one or two occasions where I've been getting people's names wrong.
Yeah.
And
Even a
so
tag
it's just
team
perfectly
name
done.
here and there, not a dig,
Exactly.
but
Exactly. Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
Exactly. This is my that's my point in my example. Exactly.
something to know about Leon. Obviously, she was a ring announcer with WWE before. Turns
Hmm.
out, I found out the reason why she stepped down is because one of her family members, I think it was her dad or something like that, needed more care, more like of a person or a family member there to care for him because he wasn't doing very well, and she decided to step
Yeah.
down at the time. And she said she didn't regret that decision at all, which I don't blame her. Do you know what I mean? If her dad was dying, I'm not saying he was or not, you want to spend your last moments with him rather than traveling the world
Yeah.
doing your job. It's a tough call to make. You know, doing a job that you love or spend time with your family. For some people, it might be that hard decision. Others might not be that much of a difficult decision. Obviously, Lillian decided to stick with her family, which was, in my opinion, the best thing to do for her at the time.
Yeah.
I can't
But
remember who took over straight away. It
yeah.
might. You know what? Don't worry. Because obviously she's come back now after. What's her name? Decided to retire. Well, not retire, but leave after. Come on, Freddie. I can't remember her name right
Are
now.
we talking about this year?
Yeah, when she
Samantha
took
Irvin.
over from. Huh?
Samantha Irvin.
That was it. Yeah.
How
Yeah.
could you? How could you forget Samantha Irvin, the lady that personified the whole Chelsea Green? How could you forget that?
Pure idiocy, probably.
Don't worry, I like the fact I slipped in the whole Chelsea Green thing in as well.
Yeah, I love that. That's brilliant. Yeah. But shall we actually move on to the
I was
match
gonna say,
now, rather than talking about the
back to
ring
the match.
announcers?
Yeah, back to the match. But
It will definitely be interesting. I definitely can see Bianca and Naomi teaming up to bring Morgan down a peg after it was revealed that they attacked Cargill. Cargill?
well, footage was seen of them being in the perimeter at the time,
And
but
leading.
not saying for certain it was them. But will that? But bear in mind, before this comes out, or before this gets released, we do have on Raw the women's tag titles being contested between Belair and Bella and Naomi against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez before this goes out. So it'll be interesting to see if Jade makes a surprise appearance on Raw, or if she does the whole AJ Styles and his feud with LA Knight route of last year and reappears at Elimination Chamber, because it's no DQs in the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah,
makes an appearance and takes out the one that attacks her.
Yeah, I mean, that could be interesting as well. I mean, it could be a whole turn where it turns out Naomi was one who attacked him out of jealousy. And it just turns out it was a coincidence that Raquel and Liv were there at the time of the attack, like walking to the arena. I mean, that could be an interesting turn, definitely, because do you remember back when it was Lita and Becky with the tag titles, and we thought that the people there who knew at the time attacked Trish, which actually attacked Lita, but it actually turned out it was actually Trish that turned on them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
Can't say I do. Remember my viewership started in 2023.
Yeah. So also you had Becky and I can't remember the team that she was feuding against originally. This is going back quite a time ago. But she teamed up with Lita in a match. They won the tag titles, the women's tag titles.
Yeah.
Trish kind of came back into the picture to congratulate them. Lisa got surprisingly attacked backstage, which led to Trish teaming up with Becky. And then towards the end of the rivalry, it actually turned out that Trish was the one that turned on Lita. So they could do a version here where it turns out that Naomi was the one that attacked Cargill.
Yes.
Or it could be, like we said, that it was actually Liv and Raquel actually turned.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say turned at that point, but attacks her.
As far as I think of, like, just going back to the match, I think as much as I would love to see the likes of Alexa Bliss or Roxanne Perez do extremely well, I think the creative is going to somehow write it so that Liv wins and ends up facing Rhea at WrestleMania again.
Yeah,
I can somehow see creative going down that route.
Yeah, I can definitely see it, because I can't see Liv, Bianca, or Naomi win it with the kind of the feud that they have building up at the moment.
Yeah.
I can't see them win it. I'm not saying that they will or wouldn't, because they might throw in a spanner in the works and let Liv. They might throw in a spanner in the works and let one of them win.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can see Liv winning, possibly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't really see Bayley or Roxanne maybe winning it because they've only just recently been thrown in there. I mean, Alexa's only just recently returned as well. She hasn't got so much of a feud going on.
No.
So I can't see her winning it, especially with the... I think it was a modified Sister Abigail, didn't she? She done to advance.
Yeah.
It wasn't a traditional... So I feel like they're going to constantly have her maybe do bits in there to reference the White Six maybe during the match again to tease us a bit more to see if she joins or not.
Yeah. I mean, the only other rivalry that we've got in this match, like Alexa's really the one that's going in there, sort of like without a rivalry, because we've just had Bayley and Roxanne Perez be one half of a fatal four-way for the Women's Championship over at NXT on Vengeance Day.
Yeah, so they've kind of had their match that kind of... Maybe it could be a future rivalry after this. It could be something for WrestleMania. It might not be. But yeah, the Alexa Bliss does seem to be like the odd one out of them lot at the moment without so much of a feud or...
But could that work in her favour? Possibly, because if you've got Bayley and Roxanne Perez like focusing on one another, you've got Liv, Bianca, and Naomi sort of like squaring off on one side. Could she just be sort of like taking a step back almost if you will, and let them sort themselves out sort of like one by one, and then go in and pick up the dub there.
It also depends on the decision and what order they come out in, and who starts the match off. Because it would definitely be interesting to have either Bailey or Roxanne or Liv or one of Bianca or Naomi start it off with the feuds that have going on at the moment. Would they leave Lex to last? Possibly. They could let these lot go at it, get their feuds done, and maybe Alexa sneaks in and gets the last elimination. It depends on how they do it. But I feel like the order that they're releasing their pods could indicate who could win, maybe.
Yes.
Because obviously Royal Rumble, certain entrances, certain positions do better. But I don't think they've ever publicly released, which entrance in the chamber has won it the most. I don't think there's been that kind of stat being put out there. I mean, sure, if we did our research, we can find out. But I don't think WWE themselves have actually advertised it as such. If that makes any sense, like they do with the Rumble.
Possibly.
But in my opinion, I feel like it could be a thing where Liv somehow sneakily gets it. To have Liv versus Rhea again at Mania.
Yeah.
That could be a very interesting thing.
Again, this is all presuming that Rhea defends her championship against Io Sky, the Raw after Elimination Chamber.
Oh yeah, that's very true. That's also come up afterwards,
Yeah.
isn't it? And also depends if they decide to a surprise title change. That could be interesting. Could then, if Io does win, could we then see Bailey potentially win it and have them rekindle their rivalry when they turned on Bailey?
From last year's
Could be.
WrestleMania for the Women's Championship.
I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you've noticed since Triple H has taken over creative, there seems to be a lot of storylines that extends going back quite far now, which does make it good feud and storytelling, especially for those that have stuck through WWE and watched, for the past 10 years, like I have and some of the others have, to see if they kind of I guess you could say reference the feuds, reference what they've been through together. I mean, it seems like they're doing it. I know this is kind of topic again.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's what they've done recently with CM Punk and Seth Rollins' promo recently, where Seth Rollins was going on how, Punk's gone against the company, spoke crap about it, and then returned. It could be another thing here what they could do with the women's matches. That's what I see. I feel like that's where Triple H is going more towards, is given that long story kind of views, which is quite nice to see. Yeah. Sort of one feud and then we're done and we're not gonna go back on it ever again.
Yeah,
it's a nice different approach.
We'll see on that one. But predictions wise, as much as I don't want to say it, I think they will swing it somehow that Liv Morgan ends up winning it. So I'm going to say Liv Morgan for the dub on this one. As much as part of me would like to say like an outsider like Alexa or Roxanne, I think being realistic, Liv will be the one that comes out on top.
I have the same opinion here, unless they do a switcheroo and do a rare title drop after Elimination Chamber, and then maybe have Bailey win it. It's the only other option I can see happening, especially for a big feud for WrestleMania. So I reckon Liv will win it, but if Bailey wins it, I'm expecting maybe somehow they do a title change.
Okay.
But with Rhea being champion alone, I can see Liv winning it. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
On that one.
And then finally, the men's Elimination Chamber match, which not only do we know because with Jey Uso picking Gunther being the one that he faces at WrestleMania, we know that the winner of this will be going for Cody Rhodes's undisputed championship at WrestleMania. But
Hmm.
also with these names, it is absolutely stacked, and from first glance, it is impossible to call. Yes, it is indeed the men's Elimination Chamber match between CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins. Ironically enough, we were just speaking about two out of those three.
Yeah.
Logan Paul, Damian Priest, and John Cena. The one person who didn't have to qualify for this.
Yeah, it is interesting. I know they want to do a big final tour and things like that, and I know apparently I'm not sure if this is legit, but I don't know if he's maybe gone back to filming whatever project he was doing, and maybe that's why he's automatically qualified because he has other commitments for Elimination Chamber. Um,
There is at
but
least um, two, possibly three of those people that weren't happy with the fact that John didn't have to go through a qualification match. He just said that he was declaring for it. It was just straight into it. I believe both CM Punk and Seth were the ones that weren't happy with that, and publicly said that in promos on Raw.
yeah, that is true, but it is going to be interesting with Punk and Cena being in there. They haven't had a match together, yet alone a few since this is going back 13 years ago, before Punk walked out, and I think in 2011 it was during the SummerSlam. No, it was either SummerSlam or Money in the Bank when it was actually in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Obviously CM Punk then walking out with the title, and then eventually returning once John Cena won it off Ray on the night of the Ray won it after the tournament.
Yeah,
So this is like a rekindle feud, I guess you could say, to an extent, because obviously we've got other competitors in there. It's not like a whole feud rekindling, but we could hopefully get some good one-on-one action between those two, because it was kind of teased at the Rumble before it got
yeah,
interrupted. So we
yeah.
could hopefully see a bit more of Punk versus Cena here, which will definitely be nice for the fans that were watching that feud back in 2011.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. But then I can see Seth, Drew, and Punk sort of like all going for each other once again.
Yeah, I can
Off,
definitely see that happening. I'm
after all from
surprised
last
that
year.
I'm surprised they put Logan on there and not Roman because, as we know, at the end of Royal Rumble, there was a three-way argument, wasn't there, between Roman, Seth, and Punk,
Yep.
and we felt like that could be a WrestleMania match. But I'm surprised they didn't put Roman and they put Logan in there instead because it
Oh,
could have been interesting to have them three in the chamber together after what happened at the Rumble.
well, I'm not gonna lie. It was disappointing to see Rey Mysterio lose his qualifying match to Logan Paul. You think just of course it was, but then a really I think the most exciting qualification match that we had was Damian Priest because he had to outbattle the big SOB Braun Strowman and the Samoan Werewolf Jacob Fatu to qualify.
Yeah, that definitely submits him as a threat here.
Oh,
Because I
absolutely.
reckon if he has someone like Dominic Mysterio, I feel like maybe his entrance into it or his qualification match
Yeah,
might not seem like he's actually earned it, but the fact to go up against them two guys kind of makes him feel like more of a threat than what he would have been if he did go up against Dom to qualify.
yeah. And also, no matter your opinions on him as a person, I'll have to be honest. As disappointed as I was, like with Ray losing this qualifying match, watching Logan Paul as a wrestler, I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth because I just think he's a dick. But there is something there, or like he's certainly got a fair bit of quality there.
He definitely has. I mean, this is going back to the Royal Rumble before this one. Did you see the spot that he had actually done with Ricochet? Where they collided mid-air?
How could you not have seen that? Like,
I mean,
that was an extremely viral moment of WWE for 2023.
It was, but also the fact that Logan, I think it is, had a podcasty thing with Ray, and he was like, "What's the best way to, take that bump? Because there's probably no other way than just brace for impact," like Ray said on the podcast. So the fact that he's kind of done those spots, for some people, it's given them more respect in a way.
Yeah.
Knowing that he's willing to put his body on the line in bumps that he knows that he can't protect himself that well on. Like you said, I'm not a massive Jake Paul or Logan Paul fan, but the fact of what he's done in such a short period, and given it all and put his body on the line the way he has, I have to respect him for it. I don't want to see him win the chamber.
Yeah.
I'd rather it go to John Cena with his whole, one last time kind of thing. But it was definitely interesting to see if Logan does do a big spot again, whether he jumps off a pod like some of the others have done before him, or whether he does some form of big spot with another wrestler where he maybe goes through a pod himself.
There'll certainly be something there, I think. There will certainly be something in that, and I just look forward to seeing it as well. But looking at this, it's going to be like, see the names on paper, or when all the names got together, it was ridiculous to call. For me personally, it still is in this, because each of these 6 superstars have either got legendary status or have got potential to be legendary status in their own right. However, if I did have to pick a name that I could see creative go with, I can somehow see creative putting Cena to win it, but based on quality, and certainly from what I've seen in their qualification matches, then I would love to see Damian Priest. Yeah. So
yeah.
If I had to call it, it would be Priest. However, I can see creative giving the win to Cena.
I can see it going to Cena as well. I love how we're kind of copying each other here, apart from the Sami Zayn match, but I can see Cena winning it here. Whether he does break Ric Flair's title, I think it would break it, wouldn't it? I think it's tied at the moment.
They're tied on 16, so anything he wins will be 17 and breaks the record.
I feel like, because of how big they're treating it, I feel like he could win it off Cody, potentially, if he does win the chamber. But then it also depends how they book it after, because I don't think they will have him lose it instantly.
God no.
Just so he can just say, I've done the records, but even though I've lost the title quite soon. I reckon he might hold it until almost very end if they do put the title on him.
Yeah.
Because, they can use the whole last title defense as like a whole part of his retirement tour, I guess you can call it.
Yep.
Could we see potentially Cody win it back? Maybe, but before Roman won those titles, we haven't had a very long feud title reign.
Yeah.
In quite some time, so obviously Cody will be a year from WrestleMania. It's going to be interesting to see if it is Cody versus John, and if they do decide to put the title on John, or leave it to the last minute, even. Having maybe win it in his last ever PRE, and then relinquish it because he's retired.
Yeah.
WWE can go either way. Obviously Triple H is in charge now, not Vince, so it'll be interesting what Triple H does have, or whether Cena even has a say in this.
Mm-hmm.
Because of his veteran, experience. Maybe for all we know, John Cena and Triple H could be working on this whole retirement thing together.
Oh, absolutely.
It might not be Triple H on it. So yeah, I can see Cena winning it here and then facing Cody, but whether he will actually win it straight away is a thing that we would have to see, or whether they decide to long out the feud of Cena versus Cody, and maybe have him win it in a pay-per-view further down the line.
We'll just have to wait and see on that.
Definitely.
But yeah, so I think for this first edition of the podcast, we've given sort of like a good sort of like insight, sort of like our own thoughts with how these matches are going to go, and sort of like based on sort of like our own knowledge on this as well, from the more recent knowledge of myself and the maybe a little further back knowledge from yourself, and so I think that's going to be a great thing for these podcasts going forward. Any closing thoughts from yourself?
I mean, I don't really have any closing thoughts right now, but it would definitely. I definitely feel like, with the women's elimination chamber, we're definitely gonna have some form of reveal who it was that attacked Jade in the end. I feel like that could be a big turning point in the chamber, definitely.
Absolutely.
If they do decide to pull the trigger and reveal it there and then, or whether they decide to wait until WrestleMania and pull a big twist on us.
Indeed.
But you never know, WWE now. Before it was a bit more predictable with Vince being in charge, now not so much, which does, make it a breath of fresh air for new and old viewers. Seeing that Triple H is in charge, it's not as predictable as it used to be.
Indeed.
So.
Indeed. But that is going to wrap up this first edition of the podcast. We will, in the next edition, we will look back at the Elimination Chamber matches, and obviously we'll obviously brainstorm with topics like further on down the line. I've got one or two in my head which I'll message you about sort of like once the session's done.
Yeah, definitely.
But you guys enjoyed it. Let us know your thoughts, your opinions, on even your own predictions as to how the matches are going to go. And we will see you pretty soon for the next one. Take care. Bye bye for now.
Hey.